Morning glory, evening grace, America, bonjour, hi Canada. I'm Hugh Hewitt on the West Coast at studio. Hope you're watching on the Salem News Channel, listening across the United States. And this opening segment is going to be really designed for my friends listening on Carol AM 870, AM 590, 1170 in San Diego, all the California stations. And I want the rest of the country to understand I'm going to get to the hostage deal that has been approved by Israel's Security Cabinet after the break with Aviv Retigor. I'm going to talk about the breaking news that CNN has lost the defamation case in Florida, with a jury awarding $5 million in pain and suffering damages to the plaintiff, and a punitive damage award as yet to be unveiled. Now, the rule of thumb for Supreme Court is that more than 10 to 1, and you're into due process areas. So up to $50 million wouldn't surprise me. So CNN is joining others who've learned there are limits to the protection of the First Amendment. I've always known them. You cannot recklessly disregard the truth or knowingly lie. And we will find out about this as the story unfolds. But I got to begin with L.A. The devastation is so immense, and the temptation to turn away is so strong that a lot of the national media has moved on. I'm out here. I live in California. We have evacuees with us. And I wanted to add to what I began yesterday's show with, which is over at my YouTube channel. If you go back and you'll find my initial assessment, there are perhaps now 4 competent communicators in Los Angeles, and I don't know how many competent officials. I said yesterday, Nathan Hochman, who's the new DA, doing a great job. Sheriff Luna, doing a great job. I want to add LA Supervisor Catherine Barger. She's been doing a great job. She represents kind of the uncovered part of the fire, the unincorporated areas in Silmar and Altadena. Altadena, by the way, I learned yesterday from LA folk, is where black people went when they were redlined out of Pasadena. It's a historically black community, not majority black anymore. It might have been for a long time. They lost 4,700 structures in Altadena. Not many people are covering Altadena outside of L.A. And then, of course, the West Side. I had a friend call me today and tell me that among the Malibu homes and mansions, there were also 158 trailers in a trailer park burned to the ground. So, I mean, there are places of immense devastation. There are also places that are untouched and are perfectly safe. I went up the Implacable Hill today, and it's a 5-mile trip for me. It's cool, it's damp, and it's going to stay that way until Monday or Tuesday, probably Wednesday, before Santa Ana's. There is no reason for people, for example, in Mandeville Canyon, not to be allowed to return to their homes. Now, those homes don't have electricity, and they don't have water. But people want to go home and get stuff, and then go back to where they've gone to. I doubt anyone's going to bring a sleeping bag and sleep there, but there is no reason. So Tracy Park is going on my good list now. She's the only city council person I know of in Los Angeles who's actually answering questions. Not all of them, but some of them. One of the questions she answered is yesterday, you can go back if you're in this community and that community, but you won't have any power or electricity. Know that. If you're in Mountain View and east of Kettler or something like that, go back, go home. But you haven't got water and power, and I don't know when it's coming back. Clear, concise, direct. I don't know why some areas that are virtually untouched by the fires can be visited, if not actually reoccupied, and others can't. I do understand there's some new terms floating around. We got a lot of jargon. Off gas. Ever heard of off gas before? It's just hazmat, bad vapors. You don't want to be in the completely devastated areas, even if your home was spared, because a battery might explode, a lithium battery might explode. There are some good reasons to keep some very relatively small areas that have been burned to the ground off limits to the public. We don't want you sifting through the rubble. I understand what the government is doing, but the government is also yielding to its authoritarian impulse to overrate. It's COVID all over again on a very small scale to the west side of Los Angeles, where people with power are just throwing it around. I heard a fire official last night saying, oh, well, the off-gas problem, we're bringing in specialists who've got, super magic wands from Harry Potter. He didn't use that term. Who will detect gases, and we've done half of the house's inspection. It's all gobbledygook. Never heard the term off-gas in my life until this week. And it just means, there's stuff in there that are hazardous materials. Don't use jargon. Hazardous materials may have burned to the ground, may be a relief. But in the meantime, LA, wake up. Let people go back to the houses that did not burn down if they are not near one of the most damaged areas in the Palisades, in Malibu. But let people go back to their thousands of evacuees. By the way, the impact of that, talked to another friend this morning, Angelino. $3,000 a month for a two-bedroom apartment minimum in LA right now. Now, why is that? A lot of people don't have any idea when they're going to. It's not price gouging, by the way, it's the market. They have no idea when they're going to go home. Because the city of LA officials are just so freaking incompetent. They're not saying a month. They're not saying 2 weeks for the water, a week for the electricity. They say at least a week. That's not really a lot of guidance, better than nothing. Tracy Park is doing the right thing. You folks, you go home. No water, no power. You figure it out, but get your stuff and fly away, drive away, which is really what people would do if they could. They'd go get all their stuff, and they could leave. They go to family in, New Jersey. They could get out of here for a couple of months while the cleanup continues and the water and the power get restored. I understand the cutoff. I really do. I have no objection to that. But for the 4,700 structures that were destroyed in Altadena, in the Sylmar, that's in the Eaton fire, and everywhere else, there are two categories. Those you can't go near and those that you can't. And the LA city officials are being very slow to say which are the latter. They're going to hurry up because it's absolutely beautiful. There is zero fire risk today, zero. And in neighborhoods, there are 3,000 firefighters, God bless them, 3,000 ready to go. Finally, they're late to the game, but they're here. And there's a lot of second guessing. One story is, I got to check stories because a lot of misinformation on the web. I got to call and check it about LA Fire making certain decisions. I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback firemen. My grandpops, A.T., Smokey, was a fireman in Ashtabula for 50 years. And Chief Roll was a towering figure in my life, and he worked hard. Saved a lot of lives, saved a lot of structure. I'm not going to second guess the chief and where resources went and when they got there. I am going to second guess DWP. I am going to second guess the competence of the city council, which is nil. The mayor is obviously, she's so in over her head. Should have drowned yesterday. She's so far in over her head. We haven't seen much of her. Gavin Newsom, I want you, if you listen to one thing this weekend, listen to yesterday's Ruthless podcast. The Ruthless Variety Program. Ruthless Podcast. Go find it on YouTube, like and subscribe. They are technically superb campaign operatives, and they're also very funny. And they explain just how deeply wrong it is for Gavin Newsom to raise money through his campaign website or for the Pod Bros to do it through Podcast for America. They're harvesting data in the middle. What I did, I told you, go to Catholic Charities. Go Google Catholic Charities of Los Angeles if you want to make a contribution. Catholic Charities of Los Angeles, pretty good. I don't want you to come through hughhewitt.com. I don't want to put up a link. I don't want to charge. Processing fees are fine, by the way. I'm not mad at the Pod Bros. The Ruthless guys were very fair and technical and explain what is going on by these left-wing groups in the middle of a disaster. And they've left it up to you to decide whether it's knowing looting of data or simple stupidity. They've explained it. I didn't know anything about this, by the way. When you get an email from a donation list, it costs about $1.10 to rent that or sell it. Didn't know that. Did not know that. Moreover, at Gavin's site, they're saying, you want updates from the governor's, office. It's so extraordinary. Their question of the day is Gavin Newsom's career over? I think so, because he's not making any effort to talk to people. other than on Pod Save America and NBC. Safe places. Probably going to be over on MSNBC like Joe Biden was with Larry O'Donnell last night. I'm here to tell you, I'm going to go to Haviv Reddy-Guryat because we got to talk about the hostage deal. I got a lot. Ben Domenech, Matt Continetti, Dr. Larry Arnn, the Hillsdale Dialogue comes up in hour 3 today. We'll talk about the fires. But L.A., wake up. Let people go home. Don't make your terrible mistakes worse by going full authoritarian back to COVID days. Don't do that. I'm Hugh Hewitt. Go to the Ruthless podcast.